Hey, what's up everyone? It's David here. Today is a bit different because I've got all three different generations of Sky boxes. Well, the actual interfaces I'm talking about, to be exact. And when I mean all generations, I'm not including the original Sky Digital Digibox because there wasn't really much to that other than standard definition, and there was no on-demand, nothing. It was just a basic receiver. Of course, you then had a second generation Sky Digibox, which was Sky Plus, which had the hard drive, but again, similar thing. So the Sky Plus HD box introduced on demand for the first time on any Sky box. So we didn't initially have BBC iPlayer because there was a deal that had to be struck between the BBC and Sky, and they ended up lowering their carriage fees for BBC being on the Sky Plus HD box in order to basically have the on-demand services. And that's what really held up BBC joining, because all the others joined. We had ITV, Channel 4 and 5. They were all on there apart from the BBC. So what the Sky Plus HD box introduced was obviously mainstream, the RJ45 connection for the network, and then later boxes then included a wireless built-in card, but there was originally a wireless add-on dongle that was supplied by Sky. I do like to mention that the very first Sky Plus HD boxes weren't actually on-demand certified because they didn't put in the specification, an actual flaw that cost Sky quite a lot of money, obviously, when they had to redesign a replacement to obviously incorporate the internet features. Obviously, back then Sky didn't foresee future-proofing it for later on-demand services. Obviously, you got to remember back then the internet wasn't the same as what we know it today. So obviously the streaming services and all that sort of thing were just in their infancy. And Sky Plus obviously used the hard drive in order to basically download the program, and then you could watch it playback. That's how it got through the limitations of memory. So it basically used it like a recording. But it was simple but effective. Actually, I think it's better than what we got today, because if the internet goes down, you can still watch that on-demand program that you downloaded, and you can play it back. So in some respects, it's still ahead of its time, to be honest. There's definitely much more, there's redundancy there, and later, obviously, with everything that we've seen with technology-wise, cars, I mean, electric handbrakes, when the car breaks down, you can't move the car. As well as electric cars, you can't move them either. I mean, 20 years ago, it would have been unheard of to make a car that you can't move if it breaks down, because, but everything now is just, the world, nothing makes sense anymore. Anyway, let's get back to Sky. So basically, because they didn't put the on-demand feature on the original Sky Plus HD boxes, it cost Sky millions in basically redesigning and obviously shipping out new replacement boxes to then accommodate that service, because a majority of people obviously wanted the on-demand services, so that's what ended up happening in the end. But I would say Sky learnt from their mistake on the Sky Plus HD box, but it kind of continued when they did the SkyQ. Let me show you. Okay, so now we're going to go to SkyQ. And when SkyQ launched, there was two versions of the SkyQ. There was the 1TB 1080p version model, and then there was the 2TB 4K model, 2160p. And here comes the issue. Now, Sky obviously had two different versions of the box. One could record more channels than the other one, and you could have more multi-screen, because they eliminated the Sky viewing card on the multi-view. You just had to basically purchase a multi-subscription, and then you bought additional SkyQ minis. Now, the 1TB box could only support, I think on the launch, was one additional screen, whereas the 4K 1080 60p could support basically 3 screens. So the main box, the SkyQ Mini, and another SkyQ Mini, and possibly a third one. But you could have obviously more than one box or whatever, but you can only operate 2 at one given time, 2 Q Minis. And well, here's the issue that came forward. Basically, when Sky launched the 4K version, they didn't opt for HDR certified hardware. Now, initially, there were stories going on that it would be implemented in a software update. That never happened. Basically, you had to change the box. Again, costing Sky millions of pounds to then obviously launch another box kind of thing. But what they were hoping on, most people wouldn't be bothered. But if you wanted to watch, you could watch Netflix in 4K on the streaming, but you couldn't watch Disney Plus on 4K. So you had to get the HDR version because they restricted it to 1080p on Disney Plus. So that was the thing. So 2 versions of the 4K version actually was produced. SkyQ was the first app-based Skybox that Sky had launched, because you had YouTube, Netflix, and Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, and the list goes on. But it did use also Sky Plus technique of downloading the program and putting it on the hard drive and then watching. But that was obviously for Sky Cinema and all the others. But obviously the streaming services, for the app based, they would all stream to the box. So that's what they did there. And so going forward now to SkyStream, I think Sky learnt their lesson on basically making like a one box does all thing. So there wasn't a 1080p version and a 4K version. They just did a 4K version now. But obviously with SkyStream, there's only £10 worth of hardware in the whole entire box. It's cheap and very replaceable for Sky. They don't need the engineer because it's all via the internet. So it's just a plug and play sort of thing. Most people know to connect to their Wi-Fi boxes now anyway. But obviously, if you want reliability, your best bet is to use the RJ45. Now, funny enough, I'm actually still surprised that when Sky launched the SkyStream, that they didn't try and do away with the Ethernet port, because obviously to reduce costs. But obviously, some intelligent person within Sky has made clear that obviously the RJ45 is still needed in today, which is a good thing. But obviously with the SkyStream, it does eliminate the satellite dish, and now Sky doesn't really offer new customers satellite based TV. It's all we were basically, now we're in the legacy era. So if we've got satellite dishes from Sky and we're using them, we're basically legacy customers. So that's quite unfortunate. Hopefully satellite might make a comeback, because like I said before about putting all your eggs in one basket, or like the fact of electric and electric handbrakes and electric cars, if they break down, you can't move them. It's just ridiculous. So I've had the internet go down a couple of times, and I was thinking, oh, thank God I've still got the satellite working. You know what I mean? Because I just lose completely all TV. And then they say, well, if your electricity goes down, you haven't got anything. And I was like, well, that's less likely, but having internet outage is a more common thing, to be honest. And obviously there are ways around anything, but like I said, having satellite TV, I think, is still relevant in today. Now, we never did get a 4K UHD channel launched from Sky, even though they said there were ages ago that we were going to get one, and we never did. The box is capable of receiving UHD television. What we ended up having was pressing the red button, and it would go through the internet, basically. So they've never really been committed to satellite in a way, if I'm going to be honest. I think SkyQ was basically a hybrid. I mean, the Sky Plus HD box was the introduction of internet, but the SkyQ became a hybrid of internet and streaming. And then some bright sparks basically said, well, you know what, why don't we just ditch the satellite altogether and we just stick with the streaming? And but the problem with SkyStream, as I've found, obviously having it, is basically lip sync issues, and I've got information interference. All sorts of things are going on there. I just call me old school. I just prefer the old satellite dish kind of thing because, you know, I know that it's going to work basically. But anyway, the current date at the moment is 2029 because that's when Sky's license for the satellite ends. And obviously a new satellite will have to be launched. So we'll have to really wait and see. But obviously, if we all hold on to our Sky satellite boxes, it's going to make Sky very difficult in order to basically move on from satellite, because they're not really going to walk away from 10 to 50 million people on the satellite. But, you know, what's basically happening is it's obviously cheaper to have SkyStream. So you can see that when they're advertising Sky TV from £15, where a satellite subscription will cost you anywhere between 30 and 40. Mine costs almost 80. Obviously, but I've got a lot more involved in that. So, yeah, unfortunately. But as for the interfaces, the stream uses the Sky Glass, and Sky Glass kind of started this streaming phenomenon that Sky wanted to basically move over. But obviously what happened was it was bad timing. Sky introduced the Sky Glass after everyone bought new TVs during lockdown and all that sort of thing. So, you know, Sky has ventured into things before. I've got the Sky sound box, and that was a bit of a hit and miss for them. I think that didn't do that well on the basis that people weren't really going to go out of their way to have a Sky branded sound box. So the only people that would get the sound box would probably be Sky customers, and even then the market was very limited. So they went down the TV market, and basically the sound that the technology that they got from that wasn't wasted, because obviously the first Sky Glass, first generation, used that sound box in the actual TV itself. So, but like I said, just going quickly, if you're thinking about joining Sky, or you have done it in the past couple of weeks, check out my link in the comments below, as well as the description, and you can receive vouchers if you put your Sky account number in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and like always, see you out there.